It's time for the Movin The Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Welcome in to Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We've got Jarrell Hendricks back on the board here for our state title and 2023 season recap live show. John, hard to believe that we're already, done with the season. Like just yesterday, we're doing preview shows for the whole season. Now here we are, a great weekend of champions. 5 fantastic games, 3 games that were absolute thrillers, a 4th that was pretty good, only 1 really blowout, but just a great season. But last weekend, John, really some fantastic ball games.
Yeah, well, I thought was the great thing is there were so many teams that were there that we did not expect to be there at the beginning of the season. Some of them didn't even expect to be there halfway through this season. It was cool to see some new names, late into the playoffs. In the weekend of champions, really cool to see, and really cool to see teams really earned it. I felt like there wasn't any games that were affected by just a bad call or no team had some huge detrimental injury that hampered them. Clean football, exactly what you want.
No doubt about it. If you guys tuning in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, and YouTube at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Throughout the season, we do a weekly preview show on Tuesday nights. We preview that following week's games. That's always a lot of fun on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure to tune in for that next season. We do a weekly recap show as well on our podcast platforms. Drell and I still have a long form of that coming out later on this week, really breaking down the games. As well. We do a scoreboard show for nights during this year's season as well on Twitter, and a lot of good stuff there, a lot of good interviews, a lot of good new coach stuff coming up. So definitely keep tuning in throughout the off seasons. We'll have a lot of really good content coming for you, even though the actual season will be completed. But as always, get your Movin The Chains merch. We've got some hats, some Richardson hats here, some toboggans. Drell and I were wearing our hats and our hoodies all weekend long. Really good, really warm stuff. Had some inquiries. People sent us some emails to get some stuff. So definitely hope to get that locked up here soon and send out to everybody. So lots of different colorways for the hats. You can email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com or send us a message here on Facebook, Twitter, etc. We've got, like I said, hoodies, gray, white. We got all color hats, all color toboggans there. Hit us up. Really good stuff, high quality stuff, pictures on all of our social media plans. So hopefully you guys will support the boys and wear some Movin The Chains gear around. Love to have you guys repping our brand. But guys, let's start talking about some of these games. And I think guys watching at home, really, this is more about having you guys tune in to give us your thoughts as well. Brad, appreciate you being in here, man. Yeah, hard to believe the season is over. It's been quite a run. Zach says, good evening, boys. Has won a game is all down to the wire. Exactly right. Several fantastic ball games. So let's start, guys, with the 5A matchup. Dutch Fork, they win the rematch. The greatest story ever, as the Silver Foxes were saying. They take down White Knoll 21-6 in that ball game, guys. It was a weird one because it felt like early on, at least, and really for most of the game, the defense is just flat out dominated.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we expected to see, right? White Knoll's played great defense all year long. Dutch Fork the same as well, and just thought it was just going to be a rock fight. And that's exactly what we had. I think it was 6-0 at the half.
Yep.
White Knoll on top, and Dutch Fork is, the game was a microcosm really of the entire Dutch Fork season. They were down early. kind of like the beginning of their season. They got beat up by some teams, some out-of-state teams as well. But once it really mattered, fourth quarter, they were able to make the plays to, really in the third quarter they took the lead, but then fourth quarter really closed that game out, and they earned it. They earned it. Certainly a different season for Dutch Fork this year, a different route that they took to get there. And what was, awesome, for the White Knoll side of things, this was a region game.
Yeah.
These are two schools that are in the same region, and Dutch Fork has always blown through their region. And I think White Knoll can say, hey, we were the second best team in the state.
Mm-hmm.
They proved it certainly in the playoffs. Dutch Fork had to go through them twice to get that championship. They earned it as well. But hats off to White Knoll for a great season. They played great. Logan Sharp, great play at quarterback this year. The defense, obviously, very, very physical, very strong. Two very deserving teams that got there. It was exciting to see those two teams, a region matchup, get fired up there. And yeah, it played out per the script, I think.
Yeah. 7 out of 8 state titles now for Dutch Fork. I think 8 overall for the Silver Foxes there with Tom Knotts at the helm. I think his 15th as a head coach. So pretty crazy to think there. I mean, he's got to be climbing the ranks of one of the best of all time, not only in our state, but I mean, nationwide, really, with what he's done. But fantastic ball game. White Knoll just couldn't get anything going offensively. Their one score comes on a bad snap from Dutch Fork when the quarterback's not ready, rolls into the end zone. The Timberwolves fall on it. But a fantastic game, and one thing Drell and I noticed down on the field pregame and even during the game, a lot of times, John, you feel like when a team who hasn't been there before, like a White Knoll, when they get to that big moment, like they almost kind of get overwhelmed, or they're excited to be there and they forget they still got to play a game almost. That didn't seem to be the case with White Knoll. It wasn't one of those things where like they were, had already thought they had won or anything like that. Like they were prepared. Coach Pelham did a fantastic job. I felt like getting those guys ready for that ball game. And that was really neat to see that they, weren't, starstruck by the lights and the big city and all that. Like they were ready to play football, just happened to get beat that Friday night it was.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that. Dutch Fork's a familiar foe for them. So I think that probably worked in their favor too from that perspective of not getting too excited. But, when we went to the game, we were at the bank to see them play Fort Dorchester. I thought that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to happen. Obviously, it did not. And then, there's a chance for that to happen again when they played the number one team in the state in Somerville, the Somerville team that had been number one in the state in our poll, the media poll, pretty much the entire season.
Yeah.
And, they did what they had to do to win the game there too. So no surprise there. And again, that was great. I'm glad that was not the case. And that, we're looking here going, gosh, well, if they hadn't come out too excited and, turn the ball over a couple of times, it could have been a different game. They came out, they were ready. That's a testament to the coaching staff as well to get those kids in the right frame of mind. But yeah, well played game, well played season as well by White Knoll. Nothing to hang their heads about. No, they're disappointed. But an awesome season for them. And it'll be fun to see going forward how that program builds and builds upon this incredible season that they've had.
Yeah, Coach Pelham, I think it's just his third year there. He's done a fantastic job in turning this program around. I mean, a team that was never thought, I think they may have won one game or no games the year before he got there. Just crazy to see what he's built there. And they've got a lot of talent come back. They lose Jaden Kimball. They lose Austin Cunningham, but they've got Tion Fanning back, C.J. Earl, Landon Sharp is back at quarterback. They lose Domenico Banks, who was a lot of fun to watch. He was flying around, but they've got some studs coming back. And, like Aaron said, the Dutch Fork, they're different. I mean, those guys, they find ways when, this year it wasn't their strongest offensive team. It really wasn't. John Hunt at quarterback was hurt for a while, came back, didn't probably play his best game on Friday night. Missed a couple throws early, but hit some big ones late in that ball game. Had 2 touchdown runs as well for them. Really got it done on the ground with his legs, and just a gamer, man, absolute gamer there for him. That defense was so fun to watch. A sophomore linebacker, Riley Salters, looked fantastic flying around. We know about Tyler Jones and Deion Winsley and those guys. They were, White Knoll could do nothing offensively. They had one chance. I think it was the third quarter. They had a guy got behind the secondary. Sharp hits him, and he drops it. It would have been a 60 or 70-yard touchdown pass. It would have been a game changer. But besides that, no bust at all for Dutch Fork, man. They really shut down a pretty high-powered White Knoll offense, it felt like. And the Silver Foxes certainly earned it, and they had a fantastic season. It was really cool to see what they did going from, 2-5 or whatever it was to win a state title, man. Great job by Coach Knotts and staff and the players, man. Hats off to them for not, giving up, throwing in the towel, like knowing that they could come back and rally from that. And a heck of a story. You get a 2 seed, you go to the upper state, you have to go through a gauntlet of, TL Hanna and then JL Man and now White Knoll. You get to avenge your loss. A heck of a story there for Silver Foxes, but congrats to those guys. Drell, any comments from you in that ball game? I know that was one that we were kind of split on as far as picks went, but a really fun one. I mean, I loved watching that defense on Friday night.
Yeah, both defenses, man, just championship level, being kind of cliche there, but just so awesome to see, how, hard hitting and like how they just fit their assignments. I mean, like even the touchdowns that Dutch Fork scored, I mean, it was hard. Like it wasn't like, they had to hit some really big plays, obviously bringing the slot receiver, tight end, kind of hybrid across the middle a few times to get it there. But just greatest story ever. You just see that team just being so resilient. And that's a testament. I mean, Tom Knotts, like you said, he's one of the best coaches in the nation, not just in South Carolina. He's a legend. I mean, just Hall of Fame level. You just, like in the preview show, I had no analysis. It was just, it's Tom Knotts. You can't go against that guy, especially in a championship game. There's no reason to bet against him. White Knoll, just a heck of a season. My heart breaks, though, in this game. You mentioned it, Austin Cunningham, that touchdown pass. I mean, that would have been an absolute game-changing play because that's how tight it was. But fantastic game, man. Love to watch it. Hard-hitting. It's good to see the offense a lot of times. I love offense, but that was a throwback, man. That was just a slugfest, and you just see them going after it. Talking about coaches, I don't think anybody coached harder this weekend than Coach Pelham. I mean, he's in shorts and a polo shirt. He's sweating, lathered up. I mean, he was just getting after it. But just the whale of a ball game. Like just Aaron says, man, Dutch Fork is just different. Even when they don't have their best fastball, they're still able to get the out, and they win the state title again, man. Silver Foxes just roll.
Love it. Let's go a quick shout out to some of our friends of the program before we look down at that 4A matchup.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, KONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Let's talk about maybe one of the bigger surprises of the weekend, according to who you're talking to, guys. And that's the 4A state championship. The Westside Rams defeat the South Florence Bruins 34-32 with a last-minute touchdown from Cutter Woods to Jamar Tank Boston. A fantastic ball game. This was Saturday at noon. Really kicked off a great Saturday of action all in all. But just a great game where it felt like, both teams made some mistakes. South Florence had a couple turnovers. Westside had a couple turnovers. Neither team played their best, but you saw some big-time players shine when they had to, especially for those Rams. Yeah,
what was really, really admirable by Westside was, when we talked about it in the previous show, it'd be really tough if they got down early.
Yeah.
Because then, South Florence can run the football and do what they want to do offensively. And doggone it, what do? They go down 20-7, start the game off. And then they're down 2 scores going into down 32-20, going into the fourth quarter. They come back again, as you talked about there in the waning moments of the game, something that has been said many a times over the last couple of years, Cutter Woods Tank Boston for a big score. We saw it in person in that Greenwood game a few weeks ago over in Anderson. They hook up again to win the state championship. And that is, for Westside to win the state championship, man, that's exactly how you want to do it. You want those 2 guys to be the guys that push it over the edge for you. And that's exactly what happened. It was hard to write a better script than what played out in that game. That was an awesome game. I did not go, but to watch that game was awesome to see. And South Florence, they struggled a little bit. They had to throw the ball some late, and they struggled there. But the talent that they have and the ability that they've got on each phase of the football game, boy, they've got it. The South Florence program's not going anywhere. Westside, awesome game. Awesome for them. Obviously they lose Tank Boston going into next year. We'll see what that team looks like without him. But Carter Woods is back.
Yep.
It's going to be a really, really dangerous team. And also what's awesome for Westside too, winning this football game, we talked about in the previous show, do they have enough defense to win a state championship? The question mark for Westside was, do they have the defense to win a state championship game? And then for South Florence, it was, are they dynamic enough offensively to win the state championship? Offensively, you can say, well, maybe South Florence wasn't. They still scored 32 points.
Yeah.
And Westside, they made the play where they had to make it.
Yep.
It was one of those games that came down literally almost the last play of the game. And they came out on top. They made the play, and that's what a state championship is made of. And that is what it takes to be crowned. And they did it. Hats off to them. That was a fun season to watch all across 4A. Maybe the biggest surprise of the game was who was not there, not seeing Northwestern in the ball game. Awesome win by Greenville a couple weeks ago to upset Northwestern in an incredible game there. Awesome 4A bracket this year. It was so much fun, and culminated it in just an exciting fashion.
Yeah, one thing I love that Westside did was, all the talk all year long is South Florence defense is so good. They can run the ball. They're very physical, all that stuff. Westside, they get the ball first. They score in less than a minute. They come out firing. They hit Tank Boston. They take a 55-yard pass to Boston. I think maybe the first play of the game. End up capitalizing with the D. Robertson 1-yard rush. And all of a sudden, you're like, these boys are for real.
Yeah,
they came to play.
They ain't score anybody.
I think that was huge to kind of come out and set the tone and prove not only to themselves, but to South Florence that hey, we're here. And we're gonna be here all game long. Although they fell behind, they kept battling back, and they were down multiple scores. Like I said, John, 2 different times first half there, and obviously starting the second half as well. But they kept fighting, and so impressive. We talked about their defense and how they kind of struggled. They held South Florence to 6 points in the second half. That's a heck of a job there. When you've got to have it, you get the stops you have to have. And it looked bad because we're sitting there at 26-20 come out of the half. South Florence gets the ball. They go on a 6-minute and 39-second drive to start the second half to put it in the end zone. Cyree Livingston scores his 3rd touchdown of the day on the ground there. And we're like, all right, half the third quarter's already gone. They're up 2 scores now. That might be curtains. South Florence, Westside, they come back, they score again, and they get a stop. One of the plays that may get overlooked that we're going to see here, and I think it was kind of that last South Florence drive. And they had 4th and 2 from about midfield. They had lined up to go for it. They'd already converted 1 4th down. And they get a false start. Backs them back to 4th and 7. Then they decide to punt the ball. That gave the ball back to Westside where they would have kind of, make that last second drive happen. Cutter Woods gets loose running a couple times. Hits a couple nice passes. They get a 4th down conversion. They go Wildcat. I couldn't believe they went Wildcat first. I hadn't gone Wildcat all game long. It's the RPO. The running back QB fumbles the snap, picks it up, scrambles, kind of tosses the ball. Felt like it was in the air for an hour. It really did. DeMarco Evans throws.
Kevin.
Yeah.
This play, man, I am still mind blown by it. That is the craziest. As soon as I saw Cutter Woods go in motion, I was like, what are we doing here, guys? What is about to happen?
Tosses it literally just chunks it up in there. It's not like a spiral line drive. It's a high floater. McClintock goes up and gets it and gets the first down, man. And that's when you kind of knew, hey, things are shaping up pretty good for Westside here. And they're going to drive down and throw the last second touchdown pass. I don't know if it was a busted coverage or what happened there, but it might have been a cover 3, cover 4 thing and somebody jumped a route. I don't know.
It was a dart.
Tank Boston gets wide open in between some guys, catches it, goes into the end zone, man. Super impressive from the Rams and Coach Lane and what they've done. A team that, and they kind of called us out for it. Probably, I guess, deservedly so. We didn't have them top 5 all year. Well, we didn't. And now they won the dang state championship. So they're number 1 now. That's what matters, right? Super impressive. But it wasn't just us. I know the other polls didn't have them top 5 either. And they knew what they had. They knew they were a good football team. They kept believing in each other. And those showed up, man. Made big play after big play. Like I said, both teams had turnovers. They had a Josh Williams fumble on a kick return. Cutter Woods threw a pick early, but then South Florence, they have Quincy Rhodes fumble on a kick return, and they have a bad snap on a punt that hits the up man and gives Westside a short field there late in the ball game as well. So neither team played their best, had a couple mistakes, but it was a heck of a ball game. I mean, on the South Florence side, Zion Gilbert runs for 200 plus. I mean, unreal there. Cyree Livingston goes for 82 and 3 touchdowns out of that kind of wildcat. So also, Drill, you called it. He may have had some of the better celebrations too of the weekend. He did the Spider-Man meme one time, did some other stuff. He was getting after it with the boys. That was a lot of fun to watch there. But it was weird because I feel like we had said that if South Florence could run the ball, we didn't know if Westside would be able to kind of keep up and win the game. And South Florence did run the ball. They ran it for 317 yards, and they still lost. I mean, Westside, that offense, just too much firepower. Kept battling back. Cannot say enough about what Cutter Woods and Josh Williams and Tank Boston and Coach Lane, those boys did. Sherrod Richardson, huge touchdown run at one point early in the ball game. He's got some boost. He's got some juice there to him. And just a great win in 4A for the Rams.
Yeah, man. I mean, those are the things. When they went up, when South Florence went up 20-7, and then that drive coming out of the half, I was like, both of those situations, I was like, there's no way Westside can come back from this. And like, they were just the most resilient team. I mean, it's awesome. If it wasn't for Dutch Fork, this might have been the greatest story ever. With Westside, coming back from, just being out of the top 5 all year, just because you couldn't rank them top 5. I mean, you had 4 undefeated teams in 4A going into the playoffs. And then you had a Northwestern juggernaut, who played for a state title last year, and their only blemish was losing to, Providence Day in Charlotte in week 0. So it was so hard for us to do that, put them in our top 5. But Josh Williams, his story, man. He
inside the game, the comeback story in the game was great.
Yeah. Dropped a touchdown early, fumbled the ball early. I mean, just battled injury. He kept cramping the entire game. Tank Boston just making play after play. Even on the defensive side, the first half, he runs down Zion Gilbert for what you think is going to be a touchdown score. I mean, just completely Cutter Woods just using his legs, slinging it, just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, man. It was a heck of a football game. The biggest things for South Florence, I think when they watch that, the false start was huge late in that game, because if they convert that first down, it's probably going to be over there. And then, missing that early extra point and then chasing those points the rest of the day, that's what ultimately led them. I mean, because both teams scored 5 touchdowns. One ended up with 34, one ended up with 32. And I think that's going to be the 2 biggest things that South Florence is going to look at. Hard, though. Streaks of 29, guys. How crazy. You have South Florence. You had Clemson do it a couple years ago. We saw Georgia the same day. I mean, something about streaks of 29 in football here in this area, is something special.
It's hard to win. Hard to win.
What you're telling me is, so if Daniel gets to the state title next year at undefeated, then we need to look out. That will put them at 29 at that point, right?
Yeah. I think that's the time, that you got to look out for it. But yeah, just a whale of a football game. And we'll talk about the crowd too.
Awesome environment. Yes.
This is at a noon kickoff. I mean, this crowd was in it on both sides the entire football game. I mean, it was outstanding. Great environment. Probably the best environment that we saw all weekend.
Yeah, and so many plays that are like, we're big in the game, but aren't going to get talked about like it should. On that, I think the drive, I guess it would have been late third quarter. Cutter Woods, they go for a 4th and long. He rolls out, fires over, and Josh Williams makes an unbelievable catch, diving back towards the field of play to catch it. A hands catch there. And then later on that drive, they go for a 4th down. It goes to McClintock. He gets ruled short, very close on the spot there. I mean, 2 plays are not going to be overlooked, but just big plays to the game. And then, we mentioned the bad snap on the punt that hits the guy and Westside gets. But then on South Florence's last punt, it's a short hopper to Quincy Rhodes. He fields it somehow and gets the kickoff still. But, I mean, you wonder if he gets a good snap, if it's a better punt. I don't know. I mean, so many plays that change
the last play of the game. The last play of the game. I mean, if that's caught cleanly, he might score on that last play of the game.
But we had an illegal shift, so it would have come back anyway. But he got behind the defense somehow, man. Just and like you said, dude, the crowds. I mean, South Florence basically filled up the away side. Westside had filled up a heck of a lot of the home side as well, man. It was a great environment before, during, and after that game, and you can't say enough about those 2 programs, what they built. And I want to, we got to talk about the coach Drew Marlowe clip that's going around of him having his guys watch the trophy presentation that is going pretty viral. Basically, if you guys missed it, after the game was over, they did the trophy presentation for the runner-ups and all that stuff. Everybody got their medals and their trophies. He sent the seniors, said, hey, you guys go to the locker room, made the juniors and underclassmen stand there and watch Westside get their medals and trophies. It's kind of a learning experience. Like, hey, I want you guys to remember how much this hurts when you're tired in the summer, when you think you're sick, whatever it is, remember this moment. And I think that was awesome. I mean, he's got some heat for it. I don't know why. I mean, I think that was an awesome moment, awesome teaching moment from him. I mean, you can see why he has been successful. I mean, what he has done with that program and just stuff like that. I mean, that is how you build a program and set a standard of winning championships.
And he's proven he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, and if he makes the decision of, hey, I want my kids to see this, I want my kids to experience this, you got to trust him. You got to know he's got a purpose for what he's doing. He's not punishing the kids.
Right.
Okay. You know, that's not what he's doing. He's not trying to rub their nose in it in a negative way. This is exactly what you said. I'm going to build you up in the summer when they're tired. Hey, remember how it felt in Orangeburg when we saw those boys getting the trophy and the medal? Think about that. You know, I can't say enough for Coach Marlowe. He's done an awesome job. And I think he'll continue to do a great job at South Florence.
Yeah. One more thing. No, go ahead.
I want to speak on that too. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, Coach Marlowe is one of the best in the business. He's continuing to coach. He's continuing to teach, and he's, you know, giving these guys a life lesson. I mean, this is a team. They're not accustomed to losing, especially the last few years. They have not lost many football games, and he's just letting them know, you know, refocusing these guys for next season to make another run. And I loved it. Coach Marlowe is not an emotional guy. I saw more emotion from Coach Marlowe in those 15 minutes after the game than I have the last 3 years of covering, you know, especially that program extensively the last 2 years. And we've had personal conversations. We've interviewed him. He gets it. And, you know, he was trying to teach them a lesson, but in a way that is going to build these guys up and going to transcend football, you know, into their lives. I mean, and I applaud him for it. If you want to give me some backlash for it, that's fine. But knowing, you know, Coach Marlowe on a limited basis, you know, I don't think that there was any malicious intent when it comes to that. Yeah,
awesome thing. And so, last thing I want to say before we go on is, I mean, hats off to Brian Lane again. Like, obviously, you know, he's not going to take the credit because he's a guy. He's like, hey, it's my players. All that. But I mean, I was there. Press conference in January, and the guy gets announced as the head coach. I mean, this is a program that's always had talent, it feels like, you know, and it's always looked like they had some flashes, but couldn't really get there. I think it's their first state title since like 1969. It never really even made, you know, a deep run the last few years with all that talent. It felt like for him to come in, you know, first year head coach and to do this, you know, go through a heck of a non-region schedule, playing BHP and TL Hanna, you know, beat Greenville regular season and in the postseason, you know, beat a Midland Valley team. Then obviously to beat South Florence, super impressive. You know, what he did in year one there is really impressive. Hats off to him. Hopefully we get a sit down longer form with him coming up as far as the interview goes. But I mean, you can't say enough about what he's been able to do with that program in just his first year. It's super special. And he's a guy that, you know, has a lot of fans across the state. You know, we posted a video of them celebrating the end of the interview with him after the game, and so many different like former players and coaches were commenting on it and sharing it and saying, you know, love Coach Lane. It's great for him. So that is awesome to see, you know, one of the good guys and more respected guys in the business get a state title under his belt, man. You know, he's been a lot of places, Burns, Woodruff, South Florence, Clover, and everything. And he's got a lot of support throughout the state. So awesome to see. Congrats to him and the Rams for sure.
A good year for the whole household for Lane. His son having a great year at Virginia Tech this year too.
Got to say their name, right?
That's right. And if you didn't see our interviews with Coach Lane or even Coach Knotts or, you know, Cutter Woods, Jamar Boss, and Josh Williams, all of that is on our Facebook and Twitter pages. They're getting posted to our Instagram pages now, kind of as we go through it. But a lot of really good stuff there in 4A drill. Anything else to do addressing 4A as far as comments go before we look down kind of at the 3A ranks?
Nothing specifically for 4A. So yeah, we can go to the next one.
Okay.
Let me see. Just be real talking about that South Florence.
Real great moment with South Florence head coach, fuel the fire. I agree. I mean, I didn't think it was punishing the kids. Like, I didn't think it was anything bad. It was just, you know, to motivate them really. Brandon says, great game, Westside. 4 quarters, you guys fought hard. QB made great passes. Just one thing to ask, please poke the bear next time we play better. I love it, Brandon. I mean, you guys aren't going anywhere. You got a lot of young talent. Jaden Sellers will be back next year. The quarterback, Jackson, will be back. Got some studs. Obviously, Amari Adams on defense. Some other really good players come back. So they will certainly be right there again next year, it feels like.
You know, we talk about, hey, they got more good players coming back next year. They lost the best player in the state last year. Lenore Sellers.
Reloaded, baby.
You know, I don't care what awards, whatever. Lenore Sellers was the best player in the state last year. And they reel off, 13 wins in a row?
Yeah.
14 wins in a row?
14
wins
14,
in a row
yeah, this year. 14
to get back to the state championship. And, you know, one play is the difference. So, yeah, South Florence, they're going to be just fine. For sure.
Odrell, if you're ready to look down at 3A now, let's see anything else we need to address.
No, let's go to 3.
Perfect. Looking down at 3A, I mean, honestly, there are 3 games that could have been the game of the weekend, it feels like here, and this is certainly one of them. This was the nightcap on Saturday night. Camden and Daniel, a rematch of the 2021 and 2020 and 2021 state title games. We said it, John, on the previous show that this was going to be a lot closer matchup than those. Certainly was. The Lions pull it out 49-48 in overtime. Fantastic game. I mean, back and forth. You know, both offenses having their way all night long. But, you know, really the story, I think, you know, for Daniel was opportunistic defensive plays, whether it's a pick six, a pick early in the third quarter, or the 2-point stop on the 2-point conversion there in overtime. And then for Camden, fake punt for a first down when they had to have it in the first half. Then they get the big kick return to spark them in the third quarter. I think it would have been there. Maybe actually fourth quarter. That kick return was. So both teams played some great ball, man. That was a heck of a heavyweight fight, it felt like.
Yeah, you know what I was worried about, because it started off, you know, the first half like the 20 and the 21 game where Camden just could not stop Daniel.
Yeah.
You know, Camden was scoring too. Camden was keeping up, but I had that feeling like, well, I've seen this story before. And third, fourth quarter, Daniel's they're gonna get a stop or two. You know, they're gonna pull away a little bit. They didn't this year. You know, Camden was right there the whole way. And, you know, really, you know, it's easy to look, you know, be hindsight 2020. I'm not going to say I disagree with the 2-point call. You know, I believe in Coach Shrimp. I believe in that Camden staff and what they've got. You know, you got a chance to win the game from 3 yards away, and they took it. You know, obviously it didn't pan out for them, but I respect the call. You know, you got a chance to win it right there, and gosh, what a great football game!
Fantastic.
A great way to end it. You know, we're not pulling for anybody. I would have liked to have seen Camden get one. You know, Daniel's 3-0 against them now in the state title game.
I think 8-1 all time. I think it was a stat I saw now or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But just an awesome ball game. It was great to see both teams again play really good football.
Yeah.
You know, they left it all out there. They played really well. And Daniel, obviously, they deserve it. And what sweet revenge for Daniel. You know, I know a lot of people probably didn't forget last year, they get booted from the upper state playoffs on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
This year they win the state championship, making that 2-point conversion stop. So, you know, that's great for Daniel to win in that fashion, the way that they did. Awesome for the Camden program. Another great season for them. Great career for Grayson White, closing out. Again, we've got 2 programs right here. And this was 2 names that we thought could be here all year long that were here. This is 2 more programs. They're not going anywhere, but you know what? I'm glad because they are very exciting. I love the way both programs run. You know, Daniel plays really good football all around. They're clean. It's not usually just 1 or 2 guys that are carrying them. They find a way to win every year. In Camden, you know, a tough physical team. They were more offensive this year than they had been. You know, the last few years, the defense is what really carried them. Testament to that coaching staff.
Yeah.
You know, you use what you got, the players that you have, and focus on the talent that you have. But just a great ball game. And I love that was the game to close out the weekend. Yeah. And it should have been. It should have been. Look how great the game was.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you guys missed it, basically, We go into overtime. Camden scores about 3 minutes left to send it to overtime. The Bulldogs win the toss. They decide to go second. Daniel gets down to a 4th and goal from the 6th. Call timeout, go for it. And Colton Chapman hits Jason Bish for a touchdown there right at the goal line. We talked to both those guys about it after the game on interviews. It was really kind of cool to hear what their thought process was going into that play call. So really neat to see that. Camden gets the ball back. I believe there's an offsides penalty or something like that.
First down
on Daniel. Yeah. So they get first and foul. Scoring the first play. John Mayrant rushes it in there. They go for 2. Run. I don't know if it was a read option or a straight quarterback power. I don't know. Same play, basically, they had ran the last touchdown for 2. And this time he gets hit and stopped about the 1-yard line. Grayson White does by Ty Plumlee. And neat story here. I need to confirm this, but what I'm hearing is that Ty Plumlee, middle linebacker for Daniel, had gotten hurt on the field. His shoulder popped out.
Oh, no.
They pop it back in. He goes back in. He's the guy that makes the stop there to win the game. I just wanted to confirm that. If that's the story, that's a heck of a play by Ty there and putting your body on the line there to end the season, because Grayson White's a big boy coming downhill at you. So that was a heck of a stop there. I've got the stats pulled up right here, and I mean, it's sad to see it says last play, Grayson White, rush attempt failed. I mean, I hate to say, I would have loved to see this game go 6-7 overtimes, man. It was that fun. It was a heck of a battle. 2 of the better dual threat quarterbacks we've seen throughout the year. Colton Chapman, fantastic game for Daniel, 100+ through the air and on the ground, 3 total touchdowns. Grayson White, 100+ both ways as well, 3 touchdowns on the ground. John Mayrant ran for 3. Jakari Bennett ran for 3. I mean, just an offensive shootout, really. And it was really worrisome. I think Drew and I were talking about it at the game where you worried like who's going to blink first. And it was Camden because they threw a pick 6. They throw another pick. But the way they're able to make their special teams plays with the fake punt and then the throw back across the field on the kickoff return for a touchdown.
That was awesome.
Drill and I were saying Coach Rimp he's in his bag tonight on a special teams play call, man. He was pulling out all the stops and a heck of a ball game. Another great atmosphere, honestly. And I felt like every game had a great crowd from both sides. It felt like all the way from 1A through 5A. But another one here that was fantastic. And you couldn't ask for a better ending to a better ball game, man. It was tough because it was almost like Friday Night Lights, the movie where 2-point conversion, he's tackled just short, and all the Camden guys are down on a knee or they're upset, and you see the Daniel players consoling them and whatnot. It was just unreal. Yeah, Brandon says he might rewatch that game. It was that good. I'm probably gonna rewatch it too, man. It was a fantastic football game. Just hard to believe how it went down. Jessica said, "Beyond Bulldog proud." You should be.
As you should. Yeah.
Hey, you should be. Those guys never quit. That's a lot of guys that played a lot of football with Grayson and John Mayrant and Avery Hickman and Carter Rimp and just Wilson Nash, JoJo Krim. Yeah, guys that have played there for a long time and make that community proud. And they certainly fought hard on Friday. Chris says Lions rule. Yeah, and another win for Daniel. Yeah, and it was tough for me to decide if it was the right call or not to go for it for 2 because I understand the thought process. I thought, Ryan says the linebacker made a heck of a play. He certainly did. It was 1-on-1 with him and Grayson White, and he went low and got him. It was
had he not made the play, it was game over for Camden.
Yeah, it was a heck of a stop. I mean, he'd obviously done it. The last touchdown ran it in for 2, quite easily. Flexed on him. It was a great video. That some guys got some great shots of that one. But it's one of those things, and we're thinking about it like these programs like a Daniel, like a Dutch Fork, these guys that are so well coached and have been there before. They're not really going to beat themselves. You got to go beat them. And I think that's why I'm okay with the 2-point call. Like, hey, we're going to go beat these guys. Like, they're probably going to keep scoring. They are. I mean, they're just that good. They're that talented. Let's go make a play and win the ball game. Put the ball in your best player's hands. It just doesn't quite happen. But certainly can't fault Coach Rimp for going for it, man. A heck of a game all around. Drill, any thoughts from you on that one or from the chat? I mean, just can't say enough about how that ball game went down. It's just fantastic football.
Yeah, I'll say it, man. That was the game of the weekend. Just so much fun to watch. Just the entire game. I'm just looking at the numbers again. You brought up that Grayson White rush fail attempt on that. You look at the stats, man. First downs 17-21, rushing yards 279 to 295, passing yards equal at 130. We're talking about average play 7.5 to 6.7. Third down conversions, fourth down conversions, everything you look at. One punt in this game was a bomb, by the way. Absolute bomb of a punt. I think Daniel punted that ball, but the turnovers were the difference. Obviously, I think with the pick six, immediately turning that into points, and then you get the ball after you get the game tightened back up, and I think it was the first or second play in the third quarter, tip ball, interception. That was the difference because neither defense was able to stop it. It's the opposite of that 5A game. Just so much fun watching those offenses go after it. It was just elite, playmaking. And man, we talk Grayson White, talk about him making plays, but also on the other side, Colton Chapman. Yeah. I mean, just getting it done, especially with his legs. Obviously wasn't able to get it done much through the air, throwing for 130, but extending plays. Jakari Bennett, I mean, they ran that little outside zone play I don't know how many times, and you just see like the left and right side of the lines just crashing down, and he just squirting through. Just fantastic football. Got some defense when you needed it, though. That's always when it happens. That last play of the game, the 2-point to keep him out. But just so much fun to watch. Both sides, just both coaches. I love the call, though, to go for 2. Like, you got to stay aggressive. Everything's on the line. So cliche, but I love the 2-point
play. You might as well keep it running.
Don't hold it back because you don't know. At that point too, because obviously you have to go again. The way that it goes in overtime there. But I liked being aggressive. Man, my heart broke. I just saw Grayson White scoring there. My heart broke for him. But just the elation you see on the Daniel side. I want to talk about that senior class though, real quick. Supposedly 51-1. Their only loss is that 2-point conversion against Powdersville, which was questionable if he actually got in or not. That's their only blemish in 4 years of high school football, 3 state titles, and that's an upper state championship game that they lost in.
It was round 3, actually. I think that was round 3.
Was it round 3?
Yeah, because in Powdersville played.
It was round 3. My bad. But yeah, just fantastic football from Daniel and Camden. Just a lot of fun there.
Yeah, great action there. Any other comments on 3A drill you want to chat or we need to bring up before we look down to the 2A ranks?
I don't see anything else as far as 3A. We can go to 2.
Looking down at 2A now, a heck of a game to start the weekend on Thursday night. We had Oceanside Collegiate taking down Gray Collegiate 35-28. I got 2 words for you guys. Aiden Manavian. The kid's a stud. Freshman quarterback, 31 for 43, 367, 2 touchdowns. The kid was unbothered throughout the game, and you could not rattle him, could not be shook. Had a couple big first down runs as well. Super impressive what he was able to do. Great called game by Coach Wilkes and the offense there, putting him in spots where he could make plays. And just he is a guy we got to watch out for because that kid was slinging the rock on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. And we talk about how good of a games, we had with obviously Westside and Daniel. Honestly, this one was the most surprising for me. I really felt good. And I know Oceanside's really good. Obviously, they're state champs.
Yeah.
They're the best there is right now in 2A. But I felt really good about Gray winning this game. And Oceanside, man, I tell you what, they got it done. Awesome program. Just impressive. You can't say enough about Oceanside.
Could not start any worse. They give up the first drive. Gray has a nice reverse as they offered. Throw a touchdown pass to Jamarius Lockett. On the return, Will Virgilio has Grayson Freeland has some issues handling the ball there. Ends up running sideways. Gets called for an illegal forward pass. The ball goes out of bounds. They get put back to the 1-yard line, whatever it was. It was really bad. A couple plays later, they have a fumble. Gray recovers it, scores from the 4-yard line. They're down 14-0 just like that. Drew and I were like, this ball game might be over. I mean, really. But they kept battling back. Manavian got loose, had some really good passes to Gavin Gaspar, to Moscos, to Will Virgilio. Virgilio gets it done. A couple different Wildcat touchdowns there for them. And that defense we talked so much about. We knew that Oceanside's defense was the strength of their team. They played great. They give up 28 points. You're like, that wasn't so great. But really, Gray Collegiate did not really drive the ball that much. They had that first nice drive. They got the ball on a short field after that. I mean, that defense, really held Tyler Waller to 9 of 20, held BJ Montgomery to 48 yards rushing, really did a great job up front, plus got a pick six, a phenomenal play to Max Mormon on a little swing route, comes in, just snags it, takes it to the house. Miles Robinson, the linebacker, was just hitting folks all game long. He was a force in the middle. Super impressive. And not to mention, this is after they realized 10 minutes before game time that they're starting defensive lineman and offensive lineman Ben Britton is not allowed to play. That's a story for a different day. I'm not going to get into that here. But he was out. So losing a starter on both sides of the ball, just kept fighting and just kept battling. There's questions, we'll say, about the last touchdown. I don't know. I can't tell what I want to say about that because it's hard to say if he was in or not. I don't know. Basically, we get a 4th down play on the last drive. Oceanside lines up to kick the field goal. Greg Collegiate calls timeout, save some time, get the ball back with some time left on the clock. After that happens, Coach Wilkes sends his offense back on the field. They convert the 1st down. I think 1 or 2 plays later, Virgilio runs it in for the touchdown. The ball comes out. He's ruled in for a touchdown. Very close. Hard to say. That video that we've got has got a few thousand views. People are kind of coming back and forth. I don't know what to make of it. Heck of a play there to get in the end zone, though. And just and then that last drive, Greg Collegiate gets a couple first downs, but can't really get anything to be kind of like a real threat. Never really got close to the end zone. And the Land Sharks win their first football state title, man. It was super, super impressive. Deion says Gray should have thrown the ball to 12 more at 1-on-1. Yeah, Lockett's a go and get it type guy, man. Throw it up, let him make a play. But the Oceanside defense, that they got after it all game long. They played well. And then the Gray defense. I mean, I think they had maybe like 9 or 10 sacks on Monavian. They were pressuring him right up the gut all game long. He kept staying in there and making the plays, and just a fantastic ball game. Hats off to Coach Wilkes and those guys, what they did there. Come back from losing it last year to win this ball game was super impressive, and really enjoy watching that game, watching that young freshman, Monavian. Looking forward to see what he can do down the stretch here. But Drew, any thoughts from you or from the chat on that one? Just a game, like I said, we thought was over early on, but man, the Land Sharks battled back, and they proved to be the better football team on Thursday night.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right, man. Monavian's story there, just completely just ice water in his veins the entire game. I mean, you could see he was a little jumpy like that first drive, but after that, he settled in and just dotted those boys up. I mean, threw for 367 in this game. Did throw a pick, but it wasn't a bad one. Kind of like a deep ball, jump ball type situation.
Yeah, there was one in the end zone right before the half, then one on a 4th down play that got tipped. And picked. But not like I said, not bad interceptions, I would say.
Yeah. Just balled out. I mean, he's like 14 years old, probably just doesn't know what he's doing, but I mean, he got the ball to his receivers. I mean, and not just one. I mean, he was spreading the ball around, the field. Could not believe that Gray didn't adjust on defense. Just looked like they just stayed in like cover 4, cover 6 all game long. And I mean, Monavian just picked him apart. So that was super impressive there. The stories, though, I think, is the Land Shark defense. You mentioned Miles Robinson just getting after it. Defensive end, I just lost his name again. Max Mormon making that pick 6. I mean, that's probably the best play I've seen all year.
It was awesome.
Just completely reading that screen and taking it back. Just an outstanding game. Coach Wilkes in his bag, calling those plays up, just getting it done. And for Gray, it's like I thought the playmakers would just be too much. They just shut those guys out. I mean, I think BJ Montgomery was held under 50 yards. I want to say JT Waller was the leading rusher in that football game.
I mean, they held Gray to 261 total yards. I mean, that's super impressive.
And that's what I said last Tuesday. I mean, I didn't think that Oceanside would be able to keep those playmakers in check with Alford and Lockett, Montgomery. And they did it. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's exactly what happened. I mean, they threw up a couple because that's how they scored. I mean, it was a short field and a couple jump balls is how they really scored in the game. Great Collegiate. Whereas Oceanside, I mean, just picked those guys apart all night. Couldn't be more impressed. Your Land Sharks are the 2A state title. Last time we'll see these two teams probably in 2A, but it was a good one on Thursday.
We certainly might see him again, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, one more thing to your point there, Drill. I didn't spread the ball around. Gavin Gaspar, 8 catches for 125. Will Virgilio, 7 for 91. CJ Moscow, 7 for 71. Logan Hamilton, 5 for 43. So, yeah, Ryan says, very impressed by Monavian. Virgilio was nice. Miles Robinson everywhere. Yeah, he was a hitter, man. He was a thumper for sure in the middle. Deion says holding BJ under 100 was tough. Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, it kind of bottled him up all game long. I don't know what his long was, but it couldn't have been very much. Deion says Monavian and Sam Hartman 2.0. I like it. I like both Oceanside kids. I love it. Let's look down now at the 1A matchup. The one game that maybe wasn't competitive this weekend, guys. This is the
maybe about it.
This was the Friday 2:00 kickoff. The Christchurch Cavaliers, they repeat as state champions, 67-21 over the Johnsonville Flashes. A rematch of last year's game exactly, where the Cavaliers won and now won both matchups. This game could not have started any worse for Johnsonville. They get the ball first. I think it was the first play or second play. They throw it out for a little screen, hit and fumbled. Christchurch gets it deep in their territory, throw up a jump ball, touchdown, Jude Hall right off the bat, and they're off to the races. We thought that when Johnsonville cut it to 20-7, Christchurch has the ball. Neil Martin drills Tucker Hendricks. The ball pops loose. They scoop it and score. He's called down on the play. I haven't even seen a replay. I know some folks said it was a fumble. I don't know. That could have kept them in the game for a little bit, but honestly, Christchurch too much firepower, man. Deshaun Reeder, 125 and a touchdown, 66 receiving and another touchdown. Jackson Rep, 104 and a touchdown rushing, and a punt return touchdown. Jude Hall had 2 touchdown catches. Tucker Hendricks, 9 for 11, 242, 5 TDs. Super impressive for him. We saw him play week 0 against Gray Collegiate, and you could tell it was his first start. Stepping in for Woods Wyndham, big shoes to fill. Game was moving pretty fast. We didn't know his best game back there in Columbia back in week 0, but man, a totally different kid now. Looked confident, was sure of himself, made some big-time throws, took some big-time hits early in the game. We thought 2 different times that he may have had some broken ribs. He got absolutely – 2 of the hardest hits I've seen in a game this year were from Neil Martin on Tucker Hendricks. He got hit hard a couple times early, kept bouncing back, and made some big-time plays for that game. And, what Coach Hatfield has built there, really impressive because they've got some playmakers, man, but they are well coached. They play ball the right way, it seems like. And, they got after it. Just too much firepower on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and that's testament to how much talent Christchurch has. And then also on top of that, what they deal with in the regular season. That's the toughest region in 1A by far. Really, that's probably the toughest region in football, along the state. Now, obviously, relative speaking with classifications, but as far as top 10 teams go, boy, they're littered in that region. Christchurch, again, another team, they deserved it. They went out and they literally could not be stopped. 2 in a row for Christchurch, well deserved. And another program, I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, Jackson Rep, he is talented. I think I saw that he may have ran a 4.32 at Coastal this summer. That's super impressive. The way that he is, can start and stop. He's so shifty, that quick twitch stuff. Very, very impressive. That punt return was sick. He had a screen pass. It may have been called a run, actually. I'm not sure. He made, I think, 4 or 5 guys miss in space with no blocking. Takes it to the house. Super impressive there for him. On the other side, Johnsonville, some guys that, I've really enjoyed watching. Malik Shippey over the years, a senior. We'll miss watching him play ball. He's a solid player for them. Neil Martin gives it his all on both sides of the field. Had 100 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns. Great game at linebacker as well for him. Travis Wilson was a stud for those guys. Just not enough firepower, not enough offense, and not enough defense either for them. Game got a little bit chippy there at times in the second half. Luckily, coaches were kind of able to control that, not let it get too much out of hand there. It was heading that way for a second, but big time win by the Cavs, man. What Coach Hatfield has built there is pretty special. And this is a program that Brandon says Christchurch could have scored 80. Yeah, they were on the way, man. And I thought for a minute, I thought this was the record in a game, but Lamar actually scored 70-something, I think, a few years back in a ball game, in a state title game. So not quite the record, but certainly close. This is a Christchurch team that, had such a run of state titles, back in the, I don't know if it was early 2000s or whatever it was. They had, Coach Frost there, had a great run. Had really kind of fallen off before Coach Hatfield got there. It had some struggles over the seasons, and now he's turned them around, man. Back-to-back state titles. They are a really good football team, really well-coached football team, and that was a lot of fun to watch on Friday afternoon. Jarrell, any comments from you or from the chat on that 1A matchup?
Yeah, not too much that you guys haven't talked about, man. Just the big thing for me, Tucker Hendricks taking those early shots, man, and bouncing back. My cousin there got to catch up with him after the game, so that was a lot of fun to see him, maybe sit out a couple series, get his, bearings about him and be able to play very well. What do you go, 9 for 11, something like that? Just a very efficient game. But when you're throwing the ball to Jackson Rep, I mean, I don't care about the size or classification. This dude's one of the best players in the state. He's only a junior. I mean, he is electric. I mean, he is a very good football player, very talented. And I loved when we were talking, to them, the coaches after the game. They say, Christ Church, obviously they're a private school. We won't get into that tonight. But they say, man, nobody outworks us. And it really tells. I mean, they're very solid, coached well. They execute well. It's a very good football team. And then Johnsonville, what a run that they went on to get there. We talked about it the last couple of weeks. Earlier in the season, I mean, they've lost 2 games. I mean, they lost week 0. I think it was week 3. They lost to Latta, where they got dominated, and just go on a run to make it to the playoffs, knock off some really good teams in their playoff run, beating Bamberg last week. Just great for those guys. Shippey caps off a great career. Like I said, Neil Martin, Travis Wilson, I mean, absolute athlete. I mean, he's a big guy. I think they hit him for a slant in this game, skinny post, and he houses it. So just a lot of, kudos to the Johnsonville program and those players specifically for what they were able to accomplish, especially in their careers, playing in back-to-back state title games. But Christ Church, just a little bit too much, man. They are a very good football team, but they'll have to, do some reloading in the backfield as well next year. And who knows what classification they're going to be in. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, not sure when this stuff's going to come out. I don't know. I know usually they have like a first reading, and then you can appeal and all that. And I don't know what the dates are going to be, because I'm assuming with this new multiplier thing, it's going to take them a little bit longer to pull that data together. So I don't know if they even have an idea when they're going to have it ready for everybody. I saw a rumor of March, but I feel like March is almost too late for scheduling for football, because then you're going to have coaches who are going to appeal. The appeals probably won't get heard until April. You can tell me somebody in May has to lay out their non-region schedule or whatever. I mean, I feel like you almost got to get it done before that. I think typically I thought it was December. It used to be the first one will come out, but I don't know.
And, you're inevitably going to have, when you restructure everything, you're going to have a handful of schools. They're going to go, hey, we scheduled this school that's in our region as an out-of-region game. What do we do now? There's going to be definitely going to need some time to reshuffle things and get everything organized. And I'm glad. Well, I don't know if I'll say I'm glad. I'm probably glad that I don't have to go through all of that data, because that's going to certainly be time consuming and probably pretty manual process.
Yes.
And how they are going to verify all that data, and probably want to back check some stuff too to make sure everything is buttoned up and correct. So they got a lot of work on their hands, that's for sure. Hopefully they're able to do it, and they're able to do it correctly. And I'm not going to say everybody's going to be happy, because come on. That's not
somebody's gonna be upset. Always, always.
Everybody's not gonna be happy, but we'll see how it goes, and I'm sure. Hey, we'll hopefully we can adjust the process and tweak it as needed once we go forward. I say we like we have any input, but
I don't care what we think. I know that. I love it. But Drill, let's go a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we look at our pick 'em and a couple other things here.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Hey,
the George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more. So wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call, or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Well, let's wrap up our playoff pick'em contest, guys. I'll tell you, state championship weekend, I did not fare well. I had a big one spot. And I think that's this time of year. Every game could go either way. It's like I don't feel awful about it, because I really didn't feel great about any of those picks.
We all sucked.
Which game did you get right?
Christchurch.
Okay. Well, hey, at least you got.
I got one.
A big one.
Hats off to Tate in with a 5 spot. That's huge. I mean, you felt like every game except for Christchurch could have gone either way. I mean, they're either last minute, overtime, whatever scores. So really impressive to see a 5 spot there from Tate.
Tate's got to be a Westside fan.
I was about to say the pick against South Florence was impressive.
Got a lot of fours in there. But yeah, and let's go looking now. Overall playoff winner, we did have a 3 or 4-way tie, actually a 5-way tie for first.
Awesome.
Dale S. wins via tiebreaker, which was highest score in the previous round. He had 4, I think it was, this week. So he pulls off the tiebreaker. Dale S. with the big win. David and TJ and BH Time also finished with 33. Behind that, Ben and Daryl, Nathan and Tyler, 32. Some 31s, 30s, and 29s. Drell, 29, I, 27, John, 21. Just hats off to Dale. Dale, I'll reach out to you, get your information, get your prize in the mail here quickly. So appreciate you guys joining in for that. As always, we'll do it again next year. It's a lot of fun. It gives you a reason to keep up with teams outside of just your squad. It gives you a reason to watch teams across the state or whatever. It's been a lot of fun to do. Brought to you by Hannah Engineering, as always. Appreciate those guys for helping us out with that. We'll have our playoff performers coming out from the Georgia HC probably the next day or two as well. Highlights of those big performances from last weekend. Really good stuff going on with that. So, guys, I know we talked about it last week and we talked it off air. Do we want to go through some of our favorite stuff from the season, or what do y'all want to do? I mean, you tell me, Darrell and John. I've got a couple different categories we can go through, but what are y'all thinking next here for the show?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we'll start with top games that we saw in person. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I've got a full list of 7. I don't know if you guys have certain ones you want to shout out, or you want me to just go through my list, or what y'all want to do.
I picked like my favorite.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Ryan. See y'all in the chat. Thank y'all.
Yeah, whatever. Go with your favorite, and I'll go down from 7 to 1 when we get there. If you want to go ahead and go with you guys' favorites.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I thought the best game I was at personally this year was the Westside Greenwood game. That was a really fun game, and it was unexpected because we didn't think it was going to be as close as it was. We hadn't seen a close game, or I hadn't seen a close game in a number of weeks, and to get treated to that game, that was really, really fun. Carter Woods to tank Boston to make the difference at the game. Yep. We were right there. We were on the field watching that. It's funny. It was raining, so we didn't want to sit on the wet bleachers. So we're like, hey, well, let's go down the field. So we had a great look at that last touchdown as well. That was a lot of fun. That was a really well played game, and that was a fun one to be at.
Critical in the defense, the Westside defense. They did it all year. Opportunistic. Fourth quarter of that game, forced that fumble on a screen pass that was going to pop, and were able to get the ball back, and that's how they won. Fourth quarter comeback again. Second half team. We should have known going into it. We saw it in person, but look at us picking South Florence. Dummies, I guess.
Of course. Darrell, what do you have a favorite, a couple favorites you want to shout out before I go down my list here?
Yeah, I had that one. I also had Broome at Chapman. We caught that in week 10. Kind of a back and forth matchup, a game of runs. It's more like a basketball game. I'll say that. Ended up being 38-35 for that region championship. Saw some just dynamic playmaking on the offensive sides for both teams. Jalen McGill and who else did we have? We had Gray, the quarterback there, Mathai Scott. It was just a very fantastic game. I'll run through them all so you can do your list. Also, BHP Daniel saw that Upper State Championship. Fantastic football game, 28-25. I had Indian Land at Greer. We saw that round 1. The most of ours, we didn't see many good regular season games, so most of mine are in the playoffs. And then obviously that Strom Thurmond Gray game, fantastic that we saw. That was round 3 to Upper State.
Yeah, I'll start at number 7. I had that Broome Chapman game, the one you mentioned in week 10. And it was weird because it didn't feel like it was that close, but it always was throughout the game. So it's kind of weird. But that was at 7. 6, I had Greenwood Westside. Great ball game. You guys talked about that one already. 5, I had that Indian Land Greer game. Comes down to a missed field goal with the rubbing the kicker. Makes a field goal the second time to win that one for Greer and move them on. 4, I had that Strom Thurmond Great Collegiate round 2 game. Fantastic matchup there. Great 2A ball game that we all saw. And then I've got the 3 state title games. I've got Gray Collegiate, Oceanside Collegiate at 3. At 2, I've got Westside, South Florence, and I've got Daniel and Camden at 1. Maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. I don't know, but those 3 state title games I feel like were the best games I saw all year long.
Well, and there's the most on the line. How could you not?
Yeah.
I figured we talked about those already. So, but yeah, I think that Camden Daniel game is easily the best game I saw all year. I mean, just those kids on both sides just laid it all out, man. That was so much fun to watch. it was bittersweet though, as someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight. It's heartbreaking on one side and just elation on the other.
Love it.
Tough to see somebody lose that game.
Yeah. Next one here. This is one we couldn't do just games we were at. I feel like we wouldn't have seen a whole lot, but biggest upsets this season. Anything that jump off the page that you guys you can think about, or you want to run through my list first? You guys kind of commentate off of that, or what's good for you guys?
I mean, the one that stands out, I think, glaringly is Greenville beating Northwestern.
That's number one on my list. I put you
Yeah,
that way.
That's the one.
That was incredible, in the way that we were following that game toward the end of the game. Northwestern making a little bit of a push there at the end, and Greenville, man, doing everything possible to hang on and win that game. That was all. I felt like we were a little bit there. Following that game. That was awesome. Yeah. That was an awesome upset there.
Yeah, so I've got these. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, so these
are man.
Kevin, go.
Okay, I've got these not necessarily in order, but I've got 8 games here. We've got round 2 of the playoffs, St. Joe's over Louisville, 7-0. I don't think any of us saw that coming. No? Big win there for the Knights. I've got week 4, Gilbert over Lexington, 14-3. That one caught me off guard back in the early part of the season there. Another week 4 game, Latta over Johnsonville, 54-23. Not just that Latta won, but the score of that ball game. I don't think any of us saw that coming. We knew Latta was good. Didn't know they were that good there. A playoff game here, round 2, Lancaster over Lucy Beckham. Big win for the Bruins. Could have gone the Bruins twice on this list, that round 1 game as well for Ridgeview, but got that one. A week 3 game here, Crestwood knocking off Sumter, 27-21 in overtime. A Crestwood team that was great all year long, it felt like. We've got week 1, Chapman over Burns, 17-14. The Panthers pull off a big one early in the year after Burns had just gone up to Huff and won that ball game in week 0. A surprise there. We've got another week 1 matchup. Denmark Olar took down Bamberg Earhart, 22-15 back in week 1. A game that none of us saw coming, I feel like, at that point. And then obviously you mentioned it, Greenville over Northwestern in round 3. A big surprise to me and to all of us here, I know, on the show.
Sorry, go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just going to say, man, that Greenville one's number 1 for me. I also had a Johnsonville Latta just because, you know, how bad that one got too and how bad it got quickly. I had Lancaster. I had both of their wins in the playoffs over Ridgeview and Lucy Beckham. That was impressive. And then Chapman Burns early in the season. But those are the ones that I had, man. That Greenville one, man, talk about Westside winning the state title. I mean, they say you got to get lucky to go along with being good. You dodged that huge bullet, not having to play Northwestern to get to the title game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give out a little bit of an honorable mention. I don't know if necessarily an upset, but the way that Northwestern dismantled Gaffney was pretty impressive too.
Yeah. That was for Dion says how they going over Clinton. Yeah, that definitely caught us all off guard that night for sure. Did not see that one coming.
Good. That's a good one,
Dion, that was a good one. So this next category here, I don't know how to do this because I was trying to type out like my list. I ended up with like 2 pages worth.
Oh wow.
Favorite players to watch / follow.
I've got like 30.
I don't want to like just read everybody's name, but I don't know what to do because I'm going to leave folks off for one, but maybe just do like a couple guys you guys really enjoy watching this year or following this year. Because like I said, I've got a ton. I know I forgot guys, so I don't want to read them all, but who are a few guys you guys really enjoyed this year seeing play or following need if you didn't see them in person?
You can go, John.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think just from doing the show, and I hate that I get to see either of these guys play this year, but just going over the numbers from the previous week of Trayvon Dunbar and Marquise Henderson were just, I was laughing at some of these numbers because they were so insane. And, even the playoff game against Westside, Dunbar scored 7 touchdowns in that game. It was laughable how good these guys were this year, the numbers they put up. From a guy that I got to see play, and this is kind of I didn't want to give, the names that are the typical, that everyone's going to say. Quincy Rhodes.
Yeah.
For South Florence. And that guy, I saw him take a kickoff return for a touchdown. I got to see South Florence play. Not Gilbert.
Livingston? Which one?
No.
For South Florence?
South Florence, the game that they played, Hartsville.
The
game against Hartsville they played. Saw Quincy Rhodes get the kickoff return for a touchdown. It seemed like every other week we were talking about him getting a pick, taking those back to the house. Just an electric player. And what I really value is there's so many guys, there's so many running backs that are really, really good.
Yeah.
And nothing against those guys. There's quarterbacks that are really, really good. Nothing against those guys. This guy does it on special teams and he does it on defense. And it's not, oh man, yeah, he's a good player. When he touches the football, not offensively, he's got a really good chance at scoring.
Yeah.
That I love that. That's really, really cool to see. He's a fun player to watch. The whole South Florence team is fun to watch.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Kelly. Thanks for tuning in. We try to do as much as we can for these kids across the state. And that's why I feel bad. I want to leave anybody out. I mean,
we would be here for
an
hour and a half if we talked.
All right. Well, let's get started then. Let me go to my list. I'm going to go ahead and tell you all the guys I got. I got Carmelo McDaniel, running back from Hartsville. Michael McClellan from JL Man. Skeeza Love. Drew Spires.
Love it. Good call, Drill. Good call there.
I love reading his stats every week. Jaden Eason, baby man, defensive tackle at Silver Bluff. Domenico Banks, Jaden Kimball, and Lincoln Ionga from White Knoll. That defense was fantastic. Like you said, Trey Dunbar, Marquise Henderson, Aiden Manavian. Put him on the list. We got some 27 quarterbacks. Another one, Henry Rivers, quarterback at Berkeley. The two stud receivers down the low country, Derek Sally Jr., Yannick Smith, Cutter Woods, probably the best quarterback I saw play this year. Brace Staley, Debo Hall, DB at York. Loved keeping up with him. Let's see, Jalen McGill, stud running back, going to be a junior next year. Got to show the big ugly some love. JT Sewell and Watson Young. Both of those guys are going to be playing at the next level. Kevon Rivera, the law firm at Christ Church, Reader, Rep, and Hendricks, Shippy Martin at Johnsonville and Wilson, and of course Mazio Bennett out of Greenville. Absolute athlete. Didn't get to see them play this year, but we've been keeping up with him the last three. Those are just a few. I know I've left some guys off, but that's some of my list.
Yeah, a few more that I've got. Anthony Addison at Sumter, freak athlete there.
Stud.
This guy, one of the more overrated guys I really enjoy watching in person this year. Jamarius Lockett at Great Collegiate. He doesn't get enough love. I mean, that kid is a baller. He will go up and get it. It ain't 50-50. It's 80-20 with Lockett, and he's a stud. He needs to get some looks. He's a great player there. The other guys at Silver Bluff, Jaden Fuller, Jordan Boyd, one of the more impressive athletes I saw this year. I felt like when we saw him run by us at the game to come out to be a captain, I was like, Drill, that he's built different. Like, that kid is special. I mean, you could tell
for sure.
He was fun to watch. Obviously, Avery McFadden at Hillcrest, one of our favorites for the past 3 years, man. Stud there for the Rams. Mr. Football finalist. Jaden Allen Hendricks at Irmo just got an Oklahoma State offer. He was up there for us. McKendry Douglas. Ken Main Brunson at Saluda, the do-it-all running back / linebacker at Saluda, Ken Main Brunson. Drake Braddock at Gilbert. Will Virgilio, Miles Robinson, Oceanside. You mentioned Braylon Staley. Juju Stevens as well at Strom Thurman, along with Michael Blocker was another one's there for the Rebs. You mentioned Cutter, Jamar Boston, Sherrod Richardson, Turbo Richard, another favorite of ours at Northwestern there. Finley Polk, Zymir Gordon, Miles Northwestern. Sequel Patterson, another freshman out of Indian Lands, be a stud. You mentioned McGill. We got Coleman Gray, LaDania Martin, Peyton Armstrong, Chase Bird, Davian Brown, Landon Sharp, Will Young, Brooklyn Casey, Deshaun Washington, Cyree Livingston, Derek Goodman. You said Quincy Rhodes, John Hunt, Deion Winsley, Tyler Jones at all at Dutch Fork, Katie Patterson, Camarius Bomar, Armani Weaver at Burns, Colton Chapman, Grayson White, John Mayrant, Swamp Foxes, Quayshede Scott there from Marion, Gabe Cusack from Marion, Jamarian Fling at Dillon, Tamir Hickman Collins at Indian Land, Mazio Benny, mentioned him, Yannick Smith, Eric Sally Jr., Jamarian Jones for the Latta Viking fans in here. He was a stud this year.
And LeBron Cobb.
Yep, Jaden McDowell at Gaffney, Edward Robinson at Blythewood. I need to see his final sack stats. He had 25 last year. Don't know what he had this year, but he had a heck of a season as a junior. I'm sure he put up big numbers again. Matthew Wilson at Rock Hill, Henry Rivers at Berkeley, Terrence Smith and Javon Edwards at South Aiken, Corey Tillman and Michael Doe at North Augusta. That offense got rolling there. Will Wilson, Rich Northeast, Malachi Washington at Myrtle Beach, Wishy Ravenel, Montre Scott at James Island, Luke Gray at Pendleton, Caden Crawford, Tyshawn Richardson at Clinton, Brett Young at Clinton, Javion Martin at Crestwood. I knew I forgot a lot. That's just kind of where I got stopped. I got tired of typing. So if I forgot you guys, I apologize. I know there's a lot more out there.
Amazing Littlejohn also at Gaffney, really electric player to watch. And I think it's remiss too. Grayson White, how many quarterbacks we talk about? They played a little bit defensive end.
Football
too.
player,
That's
man.
So
Football
great.
player.
So great to have that and see that.
Love to see those guys getting after it. Yeah, and we saw a good bit of this weekend. State title saw, obviously Grayson White. We saw Jamar Boston playing both ways. A lot of the 2A guys were when they had to. Of course, the 1A guys were as well. Really neat to see some guys, laying it on the line when it mattered there. Anybody else you want to add to that? Anybody from the chat we need to shout out as well that we may have forgotten to list?
Chase.
Because I know there's so many great players across the state, man.
Yeah, Chase
Sean
Birds,
Reeder.
Juju Edwards, Caden Crawford, Corey Tillman, I'm blanking on the linebacker from Burns, James Oates, baller. There's just so many, so many, so much talent across the state of South Carolina.
No doubt about it. Let's this next is gonna be a fun one, guys. Best concessions we had this year.
I'm gonna say there were a lot of really good concessions.
Yeah,
and I think I'm probably a little bit more lenient than you guys. I really have a hot dog I don't like, but I tell you what, I'm impressed with the one that stood out to me this year, White Knoll with the chili. Man, I was worried about that chili with the nachos, but it had some sweet flavor to it. It was different.
Meatloaf
it was
chili.
Good, and it was just cool enough. Once kickoff was, I was like, oh yeah, let's get a little hot chili. It was good. It was different and it was good. I loved it.
I can't stick to one. I'm a fat kid at heart. Got to have the blue Powerade. That's the go-to. Got to have the hot dog if you have them. You don't run out. Some shout-outs. So Sumter, fantastic concessions there at Sumter. Still mad. It's been about 4 months. I'm still mad about not getting that fried fish plate.
We really blew that one.
Really messed up, but some great concessions. Best hot dog I've eaten in 3 years covering high school football at Hartsville.
Yes.
Record score.
Kellytown does it right.
And that's not to mention the meal that we had before that. Still got the hot dog. The hot dogs was so good that I had to go back and rescore it. Like, that's how good it was. Greer Lions Club there operating the concession stands, just getting it done. Westside, probably the best setup of all the concession stands that we visited this year. Need to work on that hot dog, though.
Gilbert, Westside, though, like I said, great selection, great prices. Did not run out at all. Good so deals. Hats off to them on that. That's been an issue we ran into a lot this year.
And that game was packed, too. So Gilbert, Sheely's Barbecue. Come on, bologna sandwiches. Also, shout out to Strom Thurman there. Right? Strom Thurman had the bologna sandwiches. I feel like they had bologna at Gilbert too, but maybe not.
Yeah, Sheely's barbecue sandwich was good. Only problem, I could have eaten 2 or 3.
And then Philip Simmons, nothing special, just efficient. Great selection, great people. Got to throw Philip Simmons some love there. Awesome concessions this year.
I got to the same ones: White Knoll, Sumter, Greer, Hartsville, of course. 2 more though. I want to mention South Florence. They are great every time. They have a great selection, great hot dog, great chili. It's Hormel chili. I don't know. It's really good there for them. They do they got the pickles as well. Great setup there at Bruin Stadium. And then
they move you through the line quick too.
They do.
You don't have to wait that long in South Florence.
Keep moving. And then a newcomer to the charts here, Great Collegiate. New stadium. Did a great job. We were there in week 0, and then we're there around to the playoffs. Now they've got a shipping container set up there. What I want to give them major props for is I didn't go till halftime to get a hot dog. Still had hot dogs.
And you were pretty quick. You weren't going very
well. They did a great job. It was a great hot dog both times. I think both scores were upper 7s or not 8s. So they did a great job down there in their first year at War Eagle Stadium. So lots of good concessions for sure. Check all those videos out on our Facebook, not our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube page. So a lot of great stuff there. We'll have might have a little blog of our best ones coming out here. We'll see. You have to write it up and
if
really,
you want to
dive into it.
If you want to score bump, throw that hot dog on the grill, number 1.
Love it.
And then make sure the bread is, sustainable. We'll just say that. Not too soggy.
Well, I'll say one of the problems we run into as well, and I don't know how you tell them to fix this, but when they get kind of cold, I don't feel like they're pre-making too many, maybe. I don't know what it is, but that's always a deduction there. So would not recommend that, but great concessions overall. Last category I've got here, guys, I'll show you. I've got best stadiums we got to see this year. I've got a list I'll shout out. Sumter, I thought was really cool. Sumter Memorial Stadium there, Freddie Solomon Field. really old school vibe. But what I loved about it, Jarrell, and we talked about where you got there, the parking was great. Like you got to park literally right behind the stadium. It's a a county stadium. It's not at the schools. There's plenty of parking all around it. You're right in and out, super easy. That was great. Hartsville, Kellytown was awesome. It's a great setup there. If you guys haven't been there, certainly recommend doing that. Gilbert had a fantastic facility, I felt like there. Really well ran, really nice. Strom Thurmond down to the Peach Fields, man, that was nicer than some 3 and 4 and 5A stadiums we've seen there as a 2A spot. They did a great job there at Strom Thurmond. I thought Westside was cool. I liked Westside. I love the light show they've got going on there. Cool stuff there at Westside. Brooklyn Casey was really nice. A new one I had not been to before this year. I thought they did a great job there. And then Northwestern, D3 Stadium. I mean, you can't beat it. Historic, all the guys that have played there. I mean, they do a great job. Obviously, that's shared by Northwestern and Rock Hill, of course, but great facility down there in Rock Hill. That's just the ones that I went to this year that I really enjoy going to ball games at.
Yeah, I want to echo. I think the best environment that I went to this year was Gilbert. That place was for a 3A school. That's a big stadium.
Yeah,
that home side is big. And man, I got there a little bit before Kevin and Jarrell. I was like, "You boys better hurry up, or there's going to be nowhere to sit."
Mm-hmm.
They packed it out. They were into the game. They were, everybody. It seemed like everybody, for the most part, high school, you got kids, walking around. That's everywhere.
Oh yeah.
There were more people at that Gilbert game sitting down, tuned into the game than just about anywhere I've ever been. I got to go to the reservation again this year. I mean, that is, you talk about big time football. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That game actually, and I got busted. I sat on the away side because there are so many donors and supporters at Gaffney to where if you sit on that home side, I mean, I got there 30, 45 minutes before kickoff. You're sitting, outside the 20-yard line if you want to sit on the home side. So I sat on the away side. Luckily, I got there when I did. When I had a great seat, if I got in there, 10 minutes before kickoff, a great atmosphere. And also, I wanted to mention too, before we close out on the concessions, I didn't get to go this year, but I have yet to go anywhere that has got chicken and rice like Dylan does.
Great call.
That is, and I'm not saying that I haven't been everywhere in the state, obviously, but I haven't been anywhere that has a hot bowl of chicken and rice like they do down in Dillon between the white walls. That is, go for that alone.
Yeah. Oh, for me, it starts with Strom Thurmond, Peach Fields. That was the number one facility for me, man. That was impressive, fantastic. Video board, like you said, better than some 4 and 5As that we get to go to. And then a fantastic environment, especially when a game got out of hand, they still stayed in it. Sumter also was awesome. Gilbert America had a lot of fun there. But another one that I had that was different, we went to Silver Bluff early in the year.
Yeah, good call.
They matched up against Midland Valley. Not the nicest stadium, we'll say that. But the atmosphere, the history, and the hospitality there, I mean, I didn't realize like how many stud NFL players have come through there, the amount of championships they've won. But I think it was the most hospitable crowd that we encountered all year, not to take away from anybody else, but it was a really good environment down in Silver Bluff. Yeah,
that was a good one as well. I kind of forgot about it. That was really nice and really neat. Like you said, Drill, we were pulling in, everybody saying, welcome to the Bluff. And all that. They were super well mannered. It was a really cool atmosphere down there. But that was some good ones. That's all the categories that I had, unless you guys have anything you want to talk about as far as just season recap. But that's all that I had as far as just to really go through.
That's pretty awesome to hear. I've never been to Silver Bluff for a game, but I remember I might have been 10 years old. We used to go to state championships every year when it was Women's Bryce, and they had the Big 16 game the night before, but then Saturday they'd have all the games. And I remember Silver Bluff one year. And I don't know who they played, but they beat them. They beat them bad. In the Silver Bluff crowd, they were chanting, the last probably 5 minutes of the game. It's not something that I'm going to say here, probably not appropriate for all ears, but I'll never forget that. I was like, man, these people are having more fun than anybody else. They're having a great time.
I'll throw a category. I want to shout out that CSRA region of the state. We've really went down there a lot this year to see their teams play because they had such good talent, and then such good teams, great coaching. They might be the most passionate group of schools that I I was shocked to see it, because we really haven't spent much time down there. Really got into it this year, but man, those guys are passionate about their schools, and they have really, really been, good supporters of us this year. And it's been a lot of fun covering those teams, as it goes up into the Lakelands and stuff like that. But it's been a lot of fun to get to that side of the state this year.
And last year too. And what's so cool is it's not just one school; it's the whole area.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's really cool.
North Augusta, Midland Valley, Strom Thurmond, all those guys. I mean, they're about it, and it's a lot of fun to see them kind of interact with us, interact with each other. I mean, that's a very passionate group. Like you said, Drew, I mean, hasn't had some of the better football the last few years. I mean, going into this year, but now they're really building up. Got some great coaches down there. Coach Bush, Coach Chapman, Coach Webb are really doing a fantastic job down there, making those programs, not only relevant, but, state title level contenders, it feels like, here in the next couple of years. So really cool to see what they're doing.
What school down there do you want to go into as an away team? I can't pick one.
Yeah.
They're passionate. I mean, even if they're not performing well, you see them, they're very active, on social media. They know all their players. They're, just these communities are in it, and they're supporting their guys, going after, rival schools and stuff like that. But it's a lot of fun, and just really cool to get, and I'm never familiar with that part of the state. I'm from the upstate. My dad's from the Midlands, so I spent time there. And then I've also lived in the low country as well. So I've never really been to that part of the state, but just, it was an eye opener to see how passionate those people are, and those communities are in support of their schools. Man, it's been a lot of fun connecting and getting a little bit of a footprint of moving the chains down there.
Yeah, really neat. I got something I want to talk about. So basically, we're pretty much done for the season, like as far as games go, guys. We got the North-South game this Saturday down in Myrtle Beach, Doug Shaw Stadium. Got the Shrine Bowl in 2 weeks up at Spartanburg, Spartan High there. We'll probably be at that game, hopefully, if it works out weather-wise and everything like that. But this Saturday, halftime of that ball game, we're going to announce Mr. Football. We've got Avery McFadden as a finalist, Turbo Richards as a finalist, Watson Young, Josiah Thompson, and Zion Dobson. Not who do you guys think should win? Maybe who do you think will win out of that Mr. Football group there on Saturday at Doug Shaw?
Let's answer. Let's make it fun. Let's answer both.
Okay. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
In it. Who will win?
Yes.
I think it's going to be Watson Young. I think Watson Young's going to win.
The story is there. I mean,
I think it's a cool story.
Dad won it back in like 96, whatever it was. Certainly could make sense. It's hard. I mean, obviously we don't want to say anything bad because we don't know how it works, but like it's hard to figure out what some of the criteria is sometimes. So we don't know what they're valuing more, this year. So he certainly will be, deserving of that award, as is everybody who was up there for that. So could certainly see him pulling it out.
Who should win? I'm going to go with Dion. He just put in the chat, kind of stole my thunder. Not even a finalist. Trayvon Dunbar was my Mr. Football this year.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Is it a career award? Is it a season award? I don't really know. Like, if you're looking at who had the best season this year, it's hard to go against Trayvon Dunbar. I mean, it just is. But there's a lot of other factors.
Last performance. Look at his last performance.
Yeah, a lot of factors that go into it for sure. I think golly, this is tough. I think who's going to win it, I've got it down to 2 in my head. And I think it's going to be Josiah Thompson, Dillon, offensive lineman, committed to South Carolina. I think he's going to win it. Who I would like to see win it, this is tough for me because y'all know I'm really high on I'm really high on both of these guys. I think Turbo Richards should win it. I think what he's done, not only this year, but in his career, absolute stud all over the field, playmaker, going on to Boston College, going to be a stud there for the Eagles as well. I think Turbo should win it. But, I mean, it's so tough. All these guys, what Zion Dobson did, crazy numbers, 2,500 plus yards this year is great. Avery McFadden, what he's done throughout his career, setting basically all the Hillcrest records. He has been phenomenal, man. These are, like I said, guys are all very deserving. Going to be a lot of fun. You can't really go wrong, I feel like, John.
No, these are all very, very deserving guys. I have my own opinions on how it actually unfolds. I agree with you. I think Josiah Thompson is who's going to end up winning it. Very deserving. Nothing against Josiah. I think he's got a chance to have a really, really good college career. He's committed to South Carolina. And hey, cool. My dad used to be at Dillon High School. It's cool to see somebody from Dillon to win the award. I don't think Joe Blue. I don't think he won. I don't think Derek Hamilton won.
No, I don't think
Dillon. I can't put my finger on someone from Dillon winning the award.
The best bet may be Stan Manning, but I don't believe he did. I think he might have been before the award started. And then Avery McCall had crazy numbers, but I don't believe he won either.
I'm sure he did not win either.
I believe it'll be the first one from Dillon.
With that said, I'm going to kind of give two answers for who I think should win. I agree with you. I think Trayvon Dunbar deserves the award. For me, my criteria is a season award. I view it as a season award. Who had their best senior season, and not only what he did during the season, but he did in playoffs. People talk about their Heisman moment. I think his Mr. Football moment was that Westside game. Yeah. I mean, he did everything he could to win that game for the Mustangs. Incredible year for him. I hope he lands somewhere where he can really showcase the talent he has. And if he doesn't, I hope he can work his way to somewhere on a big time level, because I feel like he certainly deserves that chance. Out of the guys that are there, I'm gonna go Turbo Richard. I think for the level that he played and just how dynamic he is on such a really good team. Not only is he a great player, he's on a really good team, and that shows that, hey, you're not just a really good player on a team that's not any good, man. Because I guarantee you, if Turbo Richard was not there, whoever would be in that spot would be a really good player too.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. I think for the guys that are there, I'd like to see him win.
Yeah.
But again, all these guys, super, super deserving, awesome careers. I hope they have a great time. I hope they treat them like royalty, like they should. Saturday should be a good time for all those guys.
Yeah.
And best luck to them on their next step too.
For sure. Will be a lot of fun. The last thing I wanted to do, guys, before we get out of here, I've got a list of folks. I know we're going to forget some guys, I'm sure, but just guys that we saw down this weekend at the state title game we got to say hey to. It was really cool. We had Jeremy at Gray. Drill and I are literally walking into the stadium getting our credentials. Jeremy goes, "You guys are moving the chains, right?" Like, yeah. He's like, "Can I get a picture?" We get a picture within 5 seconds of being there. It was really cool. Joey Knuckles, Mr. Soul. He was great to see him. Melanie Legger from Gray. Malik Shippey. His mom, I believe Jessica was her name. Got to talk to her. That was great. Kenny Baxley at Johnsonville. Obviously, Jackson Repstad there. Coach Tolbert, Coach Ramey, Coach Richburg, Coach Jackson, Coach Coley at Christ Church. The White Knoll coach, do you remember his name? Jeremy, I believe, maybe in his name as well.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Great to talk to him. Coach Burris from Lamar was there. Coach Howard at Ridgeview. Coach Filler from Airport. We had RJ at Dutch Fork. Great to talk to him. RJ, and then Guapo as well. Maurice at GM Flow, the photographer, he does a great job. Landon King and the guys at SK Media. Scrocky Sports, Steven, also chat with him as always. Kurt in the game. Cam behind the cam, our boys there. The Brooklyn Casey defensive line coach, I believe his last name was Jackson. I can't remember. Great to talk to. Quincy Rhodes' mom, Laurie. Great to see her. Dutch Fork coach, Win French. Great to chat with him. Jeremy West, AD at Westside. Jack the Longchamps, our new friend Jarrell, doing the silent reporting there for the game. Great to meet Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Got some great stuff coming out with him here, and hopefully next year from the Low Country. Stephen Nimmer, Powdersville, D.C. was there. Great to talk to him. Nathan Dodson, our friend from Daniel, got to talk to him before the game. That was really cool to get to chat with him some more.
Nathan has since told us to not come and cover any of their games. I've seen that.
Yeah, every time we go, it's a thriller, man. A little too much heartburn for Nathan there. We had KD, the Daniel student, called us over, asked us about our food reviews there at the game. We had to give him a recap. We saw Blue Marble images there as well. I know I left out some folks, but a lot of great guys, man. It was really cool to see how many different folks that we've gotten to know throughout the years and have just seen us, and we've gotten to see. It's really cool to kind of put a face with a name, get to say hello to some guys and whatnot. Drew, anybody you can think of that I may have forgotten right quick off of that list?
your memory is much better than mine when it comes to that. I'll just say all encompassing. Thank everybody that we were able to interact with, man. It was a lot of fun. Chase Justice, WYFF, is cool chatting with him. We both recorded that game winning touchdown for Westside at the same time. That was a lot of fun to see there. Just interacted with so many people, this weekend, and just so thankful. It's so weird to know that people are keeping up with our stuff as we try to shine a light on this state. We really, really work hard to do so, and it feels special to have people who appreciate the work that we do.
Yeah, I think we got called the TikTok guys, the TV guys,
Yeah.
the radio guys, something else too. I don't know this weekend, man. Whatever you want to call us, I don't care as long as you know who we are, man. That's
tune
really
in.
cool.
Tune in.
Yeah, it's really cool to see what's been going on. But once again, guys, also Katie Patterson had a great year. Katie did have a great year. I think he's a junior, so
Awesome.
He'll be a finalist next year. See how that goes. But he is fantastic for sure. As always, you should Moving the Chains merch, our hats, Richardson hats, all different colorways for you guys. We got Yupong hats as well. We've got toboggans, gray, black, really good stuff for the cold weather. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. The hoodies, gray and white, logo front and back. We're actually, like I said, we're wearing this weekend. A couple guys asked us about them, so definitely get yours today. Love to see you guys support.
Hats are delicious. They taste good. They look good.
Not even seasoned. And he ate it. That was really really cool to see how that went. But
no ketchup required.
Yeah, that's right.
Chili.
But yeah. Hopefully you guys will buy some merch, man. It obviously helps get the brand out there, which is great for us marketing wise, but also it helps us buy better equipment. If you guys remember John and I, we started the show, we were doing it off an iPad from like 2008 and Facebook Live only. And it wasn't the clearest picture. Now we've got a better camera. We got some lighting. We got mics. I mean, this is how we keep getting better and better, guys, and bring better content to you guys. I think obviously it's not what it is without you guys. I mean, if y'all weren't there chatting with us and commenting with us and supporting us, we couldn't do what we do. So really appreciate y'all. And that's just another way for you guys to help support us is getting some merch. But a lot of really cool stuff that we've got available for you. As always, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, movinchains.com, podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We'll have a weekly recap during the season on Tuesdays. We do a weekly recap show. It comes out on podcast version. Drill and I still have that coming out for the state title game. That'll come out probably later this week. We'll do a Friday night scoreboard. But I do want to say, John and Drill, and to all the guys out there, don't turn us off now that the season's over, because we're still gonna have good stuff. We're gonna have probably some kind of realignment, reclassification show when that gets dropped. We'll have the coaching carousel show come out. We'll have new coach interviews come out with all the guys that have been hired and moved around. A lot of good stuff there. We'll keep posting on our Twitter page and our Facebook page about those guys that are hired, about different commitments from different kids. So a lot of really good content that'll keep coming out, even though the season is officially over. Got a lot of good stuff still coming down the pipe for you guys.
Yeah, that coaching carousel show, I had as much fun doing that this past season as anything.
Yeah.
That was, you talk about something that was uplifting and positive. I loved it. I walked away from Kevin's house that night. I just felt good about life. I was like, man, it's so cool seeing guys getting these opportunities, coaching back where they graduated from. I look forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll be.
The realignment will be awesome too.
It will. Like I said, we don't know when it's coming out. But we'll have a show for you whenever it does, man. That'll be a lot of fun for sure. Drill, any final thoughts from you, or for you, John, before we kind of wrap here?
I want a hot dog.
That's funny. No, just for me, it's just thanks. That's all I can say. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in. Thanks to everybody who supported. Thanks. Just keep tuning in. Like you said, in the off season, it'll be August before we know it, doing preview stuff. So just appreciate everybody that's taking the time to watch anything. Click, like, subscribe on YouTube. We're really lagging there.
Do that.
Please subscribe on the YouTube. Run those YouTube numbers up. But just thanks, and thanks to you guys too, man. You guys have been pretty awesome this year. I'm trying to not use profanities to describe how awesome you guys have been this year as well.
I appreciate that. Now, you're exactly right, Drill. Everybody that's liked anything, shared anything, whatever it does, that really helps us out. I mean, there's so many people in this state who love high school football just like we do, and they just might not know about us yet. So, I mean, definitely tell your friends. I mean, share it to your page. Invite your friends to like our page, whatever you want to do. We love to be able to grow this community, man. And that's what, I feel like, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Like, obviously, we're kind of media, but not really. But what I like about it is I feel like we built like a community. I mean, like, if you're writing for a newspaper, or you're just, a typical, radio host, or you're a news reporter or whatever, you don't get to know and interact with your people each week during your show like we do. And that's why when we go to a game, we have somebody yell out, hey, Moving the Chains, or the TikTok guys or whatever. Like, it's really cool to have that happen. Like, I don't think that happens in other forms of media. So what you guys have helped us build is really cool. I mean, it's really neat to see how many folks have really connected with us, and there's a lot of guys I met through here that I'm like friends with now, like I mentioned Kurt and Cam and, Brandon, these guys, like, if I see them out like in the street, we're going to say, hey, we're going to hang out. Like, we're going to text each other. Like, it's really cool. I mean, John and I get, people we see at lunch all the time who say some of the shows. So it's really neat to see how that's grown and to see what you guys have helped us do. Is a really
they don't invite me to lunch, guys.
I mean, if you want to drive to us, come on, man, you're more than welcome.
Trello's 45 minutes away.
You're more than welcome. But that is really cool to see what we've been able to kind of help build with the help of you guys. Because if it wasn't for you guys, nobody cares. So we appreciate you guys joining us. And
we love doing it when just a handful of our friends watch.
Yeah.
But it's so much more rewarding when we're at games and you guys say, hey, what's up? We love the trash talk too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys are knuckleheads for picking so-and-so. Yeah.
We get a lot wrong. We do.
It's fun. We don't claim to be experts. We love seeing that too. Love seeing the one or two hype videos that we appear in every year. That's always really, really fun. Whoever's in it, we pick on them.
Yeah.
Usually it's me, which is fine. I love it. I share it to my friends. Go, hey, look at this. It's just, we have a really, really good time doing this. And you talk about how we've got a little bit of community, I think most of you guys know this isn't our job.
Right.
We really do this because we enjoy doing it. We have a lot of fun doing it. And part of that fun is getting to talk to you guys and seeing you guys out in the community, at games, obviously, and even interacting on the shows. It makes it all that much more worth it too.
For sure. Well, for John Epps and Jarrell Hendricks, I've been Kevin Thomas. Moving the Chains always brought you our Founders Federal Credit Union. It's been a fantastic 2023 season, guys. Appreciate you tuning in to our state title recap show, our season recap show. Been a lot of fun. Got a lot of good stuff. Still on the way. As Dabo says, the best is yet to come. Right, guys? Anyway, for Moving the Chains, we'll catch you guys later.